Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode here on the Mr. Analyst channel. Of course, my name is Leighton Lever. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We are here again today because Jamaica last night, that's Friday night, created history by beating the world number 15 Puerto Rico in a game that was supposed to be Jamaica's home game, but that game was shifted to Puerto Rico because, we had logistical challenges here in Jamaica. Jamaica's efforts were led by Kofi Cockburn, who scored 26 points and 15 rebounds. And of course, we're being joined by head coach Rick Turner. Rick, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely amazing performance last night, given the fact that we were not playing at home, but still good enough to topple the number 15 team in the world.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Guys celebrated last night and felt good about it. And now we're back to work today, getting ready for Monday because, coming out of here 2-0 would be a real big lift for us.
Let me know, when you went into this game, of course, without the NBA players, Norman Powell wasn't there, and of course, the others who were not present as well in Mexico. What was the game plan? Because I remember when the last time I spoke with you, you said you wanted that team that was going to be defensively solid, but also be able to be good, very good offensively. You got that last night. 6 players in double figures. And of course, I mentioned Kofi's 26 points. What was the strategy going up against a team as good as Puerto Rico, 15 in the world?
Well, everything with us starts with defense. You just touched on it. I mean, they're the 15th ranked team in the world. They run their stuff really well. One of our assistant coaches, Coach Kyle Plank, did a great job with our scouting report and getting us prepared, getting our guys ready for, what we had to expect. And, they're so complex in the things that they do, that it really was a testament to our guys, that they were just kind of able to fight through it. And, we really wanted to create pressure on the perimeter. We knew that our advantage was going to be on the interior. So it was just a matter of really trying to create problems for them in shooting threes and rolling to the rim in their ball screen actions. And, we weren't perfect, but we did enough to pull out a victory. So, it's great for us, obviously.
Do the stats indicate how dominant Kofi was last night, given how much the more dominant in terms of his scoring, in terms of his rebound? Talk to me about how key those performances were on the boards and shooting, including that incredible putback that gave us the win.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, obviously, you notice about Kofi when you see him is his just physical, imposing presence. And the great thing for us that we realized, on Monday right away, but not only is he imposing from a physical standpoint on the floor, but he's got just as big a personality and a presence in the locker room and with the guys. And he's been a great leader in that respect. Even though he's such a young player, he's played in a lot of big games in his career, so the stage wasn't too big for him. But anytime a team like Puerto Rico or anybody really has to handle someone of his size, there's just not a lot of guys in the world built like him. So, the interesting thing about Puerto Rico's roster in this window is that they went with a little bit of a smaller group than we had seen in the AmeriCup over the summer, that we had seen in the World Cup previously, and even that we had seen in the Olympics. They had a much more perimeter-oriented team. That it's a double-edged sword. That causes some problems for us when we're playing big, but our size creates problems for them. So it's, which one is going to overcome at the end, I guess. And when you look at 26 and 15 for Kofi, I think that was the thing that tipped the scales.
We had another outstanding performer last night in Drew Selwell, who plays in France. 5 points, 7 boards, 7 assists. Talk to me about, because he's new to the team. Talk to me about how quickly he's gelled with this unit to perform like that last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, Drew is an amazing story. He's a great story. He's been on the radar for 7 years with us, and he's finally getting the opportunity. His father's here. When I talked to Drew this morning about it, he said his dad saw him in his Jamaican uniform and tears came to his eyes.
Yeah.
So, it's not like this guy just popped out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, he was fantastic. He just had a real calming presence on the floor for us. And one of the things that we talked about before the game is we really wanted to um, not be on an emotional roller coaster throughout. We wanted to keep composed and, you know, um, stay even keeled when things didn't go our way and stay even keeled when things were going our way. And not have those dips and valleys and those highs and lows. And he was a guy, that was really, really composed and really kind of kept us together throughout the course of the game. And then, of course, he was just really solid in his play as well.
How is this team different or the same or better than the team that played in Mexico just a few months ago in terms of the qualifiers to get us to this stage of competition? Are you seeing a better gelling of the talent on the court? Are you seeing a different element of the team that maybe augurs better for the team going forward?
Yeah, well, August really presented some challenges to us. Um, and the fact that that team came together the way that they did and got us to this point was really special. Um, the interesting thing about playing in these FIBA tournaments is that there is going to be roster turnover, and the roster that we have here in November is likely to be different than the roster that's available for us in February. And it's going to be different than the roster that's available for us in July. So one of the things that we've tried to do as a staff is really develop a deep pool of players. So when these opportunities come up, um, we're not acting out of desperation of just trying to fill a roster. That we've identified guys that are eligible and fit the role, and we're able to put a group of 12 guys together that can get the job done no matter what the case is. So to try to compare the two is really hard because that group in August was a very special group, of course, led by Norman Powell. And this group has a different personality and a different heartbeat. And like well, I don't know that we've mentioned Kenton yet, but
I
Kenton
was
is our,
about to
our
come to him.
captain.
Yeah,
And like his whole demeanor, I think from August to this tournament is a little bit different, and maybe it's because Norm isn't here and he feels like he needs to take up a bigger leadership role. I don't know exactly, what that is, but that's what's revealing itself to be a really cool aspect of this is that each of these groups have a different personality. And see, watching that unfold in front of our eyes is super fun, especially when you win.
absolutely. There's always been a concern, especially among the fans in Jamaica, about whether or not the NBA players would be available for this leg of the competition of qualifying, this leg of the qualifiers, I should say. Um, Based on what we saw last night, and who do we play next? Is it Canada or the Bahamas?
Play Puerto Rico again on Monday,
Okay,
and
cool.
then
Oh yeah,
yeah, so
the
we play
away
Puerto
leg. Right.
Rico again on Monday, and that's what this number one window is. And then February 26th and March 1st, we play Canada and the Bahamas.
Okay,
I think in the other order, Bahamas and then Canada, I believe that is. And that is hopefully, and we can touch more on this if you'd like. Hopefully those games are going to be played in Jamaica in front of our home fans. And then
yeah.
in July would be the third window of this round of qualifying, where we would go on the road to both Canada and Bahamas.
What is it that we do? Because I was talking to Paul Gordon, president of the Jamaica Basketball Association, and he was explaining that there are some things that we still need to do to be able to host games at the Montego Bay Conference Center. What are some of those things that we need to get in place by February to allow us to be able to host those games here in Jamaica?
Well, whether it's the Mobay Convention Center or whether it's the indoor center in Kingston, I think both of those are great options for us. Um, this is especially, for a foreigner like myself, it's a little kind of a touchy subject for me to, my apologies on the phone. Sorry about that. It's a little kind of a touchy subject for me to grapple with because there was a devastating hurricane that happened, a month ago. And here we are, a struggling, underfunded program um, that needs money to take us where we want to go. And we have people in a desperate situation with no roofs or no house altogether and no electricity and no internet connections. It just seems like a really difficult ask.
I get
Um,
you.
yeah. So to answer your question, we need money. We need help to make these games happen. There's infrastructure that isn't currently in place in either the indoor center. Frankly, the Montego Bay Convention Center is charging way, way too much money for us to play there. They shouldn't even be charging us money to play there, but it's too expensive for us to play there. They have equipment that we could take to Kingston and use it in Kingston. They won't let us use it. So it's a difficult situation.
Well,
We can't understand why. So we need, the corporate community, whether it be in the country or in the diaspora, to get behind us and support this team. I mean, if you saw the game last night, you saw the passion that these guys play with, and just the reaction that we've had on social media and throughout the other more traditional media has been great. Um, but all I continue to hear is basketball isn't a big deal and no one cares about basketball in Jamaica. I don't think that's true, man.
no,
Like,
that's not true. I can tell
eh,
you from a personal experience, it's not true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, that's my long-winded way of saying that we need help.
Because I
We need
understand
people to
that
get behind us.
I hearing that the budget is somewhere about 800,000 US dollars.
Probably for this window, I would say that's true. Yeah. I would say, in order to play in February in Kingston, which was the goal from the beginning of us getting involved in this thing. And let me just say, right, from here, the leadership that Paulton Gordon has shown over the last few years in getting us to this position has been amazing, and people should give him his due credit. But it's probably going to be about $300,000 US in order for us to be able to make the changes to the arenas that we have to make, to pay the exorbitant rents that we have to pay, um, and get the baskets and the courts and the scoreboards and everything that it takes to host. We're supposed to be hosting two teams in Canada and Bahamas. That means we're hosting them. It's our job to take care of them. Um, just the way Puerto Rico has taken care of us since we've been here. Puerto Rico didn't have to let us play this game. This game we played last night was supposed to be in Jamaica, and
Jamaica.
Puerto Rico stepped up and said, if you can't host it, we can bring you here. And they've been the best hosts that we could ask for. And that's the way we got to treat teams when they come to the country. And you just don't make these things happen out of thin air. I watched the Reggae Boys play a week or two ago at the stadium in Kingston. What a great environment. What a great atmosphere for football. What a great thing it brought to the country. What, an amazing amount of income is brought in, and commerce happens, and the pride that it brings to not only the people in the community, but the country and everyone in the diaspora. So, why can't we fill a basketball arena with crazy mad basketball fans and show the world that basketball is something in Jamaica to be contented with?
Absolutely. And when you consider the fact that with the feedback we've gotten so far from the performance last night, hosting the games in Kingston certainly will pull out a big audience to support the team because whether we're wagonists or not, we like winners, and this Jamaican basketball team has been doing well, especially since August, coming through to this stage where Jamaica has never been before. Getting there is quite significant. Okay, but let's get back to the game for just a second before, because I want to ask a little bit about a couple of things that happened in the game last night. Jamaica went on a 16-point run. I mean, where Jamaica was down by 5 points at the half. Went on a 16-point run. Did that change the game in terms of the momentum of the game for Jamaica, or was it because then Puerto Rico did go on a 9-point run on their own as well? So can you gauge those two phases for me?
Well, that's the sport in a nutshell right there. It's a game of runs. And, I touched on early on that we wanted to keep an even keel, knowing that, we were going to have to take a punch to the face from Puerto Rico. And knowing that we would find spurts in the game, that we would control. Um, but you just, you keep, it's funny. One of our assistant coaches, Parker Morgan, just kept saying, trust the process. And that's what we wanted to, that's what we just preached, just trust the process, keep pushing, no highs, no lows. And, when you're in a position to win a game at the end, that's really all you can ask for.
All right. And when is the next game?
Monday at
Monday.
7:10 Jamaica time.
Right. And of course, looking forward to seeing more of that. And hopefully Jamaica pulls off another win. That would be fantastic because the group that we're in, Group B, is not easy. Canada's a tough team. The Bahamas are a really tough team. We know the talent that the Bahamas possesses. I mean, including even the talent that they have in the NBA who are not available right now. The Bahamas are a pretty strong team. So just to be able to be in competition, in contention with this team is a significant accomplishment for Jamaica basketball. Coach Turner, thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you all the best on Monday. And keep our fingers crossed that somehow, some way, we can get to host the teams when we need to in February.
Hopefully a lot of people see this and a lot of people get behind it, and they have the same sentiments as you. And hopefully we see everyone in February and we're able to have a basketball celebration with the entire country.
All right, Coach Turner, thank you so much for that. And of course, looking forward to seeing what the team does come next February.